Some betrayals cut so deep, the soul never fully recovers. Some wounds bleed not from flesh, but from trust torn apart. And sometimes the worst damage is done not by what was taken, but by who did the taking. This is the story of a beautiful home shattered by secrets, a husband who thought he could lie his way through love, a nanny who stepped far beyond her role, and a wife who, when pushed to her breaking point, did something no one saw coming. This isn't just a story of adultery. It's about rage, control, gaslighting, and the kind of love that doesn't end, it explodes. Before we begin, like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more intriguing stories. Now let's jump in. The McAllister family looked like something out of a high-end lifestyle magazine. Heather McAllister, 37, was known in her community as a polished, graceful woman with the poise of someone raised in money, but who made her own name anyway. A pediatric nurse turned wellness blogger. Her world revolved around her 3 children and the pristine white farmhouse she renovated with her husband, Ethan McAllister, 41, a successful orthopedic surgeon with the charisma of a TV dad. They were the couple everyone wanted to be. Powerful, beautiful, seemingly unbreakable. But beneath the curated Instagram reels and Christmas card smiles was a marriage cracking under the weight of unspoken truths. The cracks began small. A missed call here, a vague explanation there. Ethan started staying late at the hospital more often. He claimed stress, back-to-back surgeries. Heather, always trusting, always giving him the benefit of the doubt, kept believing him until Alina arrived. Alina Petrescu was 24, Eastern European, a former au pair with a soft voice and almond-shaped eyes that always seemed a little too knowing. She moved into the guest house in the spring of 2023. At first, she was a godsend. The kids adored her. Heather had time to breathe again. And Ethan? Ethan seemed lighter. Too light. A good lie wears the mask of convenience. And Alina was convenient. Too convenient. But the real danger wasn't what she did. It was how she watched. Heather would later recall the way Alina lingered in doorways. The way she'd appear from the shadows, just a little too silently. Her perfume, lavender and something darker, seemed to cling to Ethan's shirts. Heather pushed it all down. Until July 14th. It was a Friday. Heather came home early from a canceled work event. She didn't announce herself, just slipped inside, thinking she'd surprise the kids. But the house was too quiet. She walked up the stairs. The bedroom door was closed. She opened it, and there on the bed she'd chosen with Ethan, the bed where they made their first child, was Ethan, shirtless, laughing, his hand tracing the thigh of the nanny. Heather didn't scream. Sometimes, when the soul is shocked, the mouth forgets how to make sound. She just stood there. Time didn't slow down. It stopped. Ethan's face twisted into something between guilt and annoyance. Alina didn't move. She just stared at Heather with a blank, unreadable gaze. Heather turned, walked out, and vomited in the upstairs hallway. The next week was hell. Ethan swore it was a one-time mistake. Alina claimed Heather misread what she saw, said she and Ethan were simply too close and playing. Heather knew the truth. She asked Ethan to leave. He refused. He owned the house. He had the money. She was just the wife, the accessory, not the surgeon, not the breadwinner. And in that moment, something snapped in Heather. Not in anger, not in violence, but in clarity. She called a lawyer. She filed for divorce. And that's when Ethan's true face emerged. He began a smear campaign, told friends and family Heather was unstable, paranoid, emotionally abusive. He filed for full custody of the kids, froze their joint accounts, removed her from health insurance. The man who once held her hand in delivery rooms now wanted to destroy her. And Alina? She stayed, smiling. Strange things began happening. Heather started receiving anonymous texts. You'll lose them all. You should have left quietly. Her tires were slashed one morning. The nanny denied everything. A private investigator revealed that Alina had changed her name twice, had been fired from her last family for inappropriate relations with the husband. But there were no police records, no proof. The devil is most dangerous when she's cloaked in innocence. And Ethan? He was already in too deep to care. Then came the insurance policy. Heather discovered Ethan had taken out a $2 million life insurance policy in her name, and she had no idea. October 19th. Rain lashed the windows. The children were staying at their grandmother's. Heather woke at 2:17 a.m. to a noise downstairs. A crash. A shattering sound. She called 911. Police arrived to find Ethan in the kitchen. Dead. Head bashed in. Blunt force trauma. Heather was sitting on the floor. Blood on her shirt. Eyes wide and distant. She kept saying the same thing over and over. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be here. The community was torn. Some believed Heather acted in self-defense. Others said she was unraveling, that she killed him in a fit of rage. The police were skeptical. There were no signs of forced entry. No weapon found. Alina had an alibi at a hotel 40 miles away. But Heather swore he broke in. Swore she heard someone else. Someone whispering from the shadows. And in the end, the scariest thing wasn't the murder. It was how calm Heather was. The DA took weeks to decide. Was it murder? Self-defense? Or something darker? 3 weeks after the funeral, Heather's sister found something buried in the garden shed, wrapped in a towel, blood-stained, a claw hammer, fingerprints wiped clean, except for one, Alina's. And just like that, the story Heather told, the one no one believed, suddenly became the only version that made sense. But it was too late. Heather had already been arrested, already spent a week in jail, already lost her kids to Ethan's sister, who'd filed for emergency custody. And Alina? She had fled the country. They say you never really know the person you marry. But what if the person you should fear the most isn't the one you sleep beside, but the one watching from the hallway? Now let's uncover what Alina was really after. Why Ethan was being blackmailed. And the chilling voicemail Heather received just days after Ethan's death. She played the message once, then deleted it. But not before it said one thing that changed everything. He was never the target. You were. What began as a betrayal between lovers is now unraveling into something far more sinister. When Heather heard the voicemail, her hands were trembling, not because it was threatening, but because it knew too much. She received it 3 days after Ethan's funeral. Block number, distorted voice, a whisper filtered through static. Don't trust anyone, especially not the ones who came into your home. He wasn't the target. You were. She deleted it out of panic, fear, maybe even shame. But in that moment, a new truth started to settle in. What if this wasn't just about infidelity? What if it had never been? Detective Melissa Crane, recently assigned to Heather's case, wasn't your typical small-town officer. Former NYPD, sharp instincts. She reviewed the hammer discovery and immediately found something off. It's not just the fingerprint. It's the timing. The hotel alibi checks out. Alina was there. But someone checked in for her. Used her ID. Hotel surveillance was missing. Wiped. But a grainy gas station camera 10 miles out caught her car. Driven by someone else. The woman wasn't Alina. She looked like her. Dressed like her. But she was taller. And had a tattoo on her hand. A symbol Crane traced back to a trafficking ring disbanded years ago in Boston. Alina Petrescu wasn't just a nanny. She was using a stolen identity. The real Alina Petrescu had died in 2018 in Prague. Suicide. No surviving family. The woman who moved into the McAllister guest house. Her real name? Irina Dragovic. Age 27. Serbian. Connected to multiple European crime syndicates. She'd worked in 3 wealthy homes across the U.S., each with an eerily similar story. A marriage crumbles. The husband dies unexpectedly. The wife is arrested or institutionalized. And Irina disappears without a trace. The pattern was clear. Heather wasn't the first. She was just the one who lived. Back at the McAllister home, Heather's lawyer, Paul Donahue, filed an emergency motion to revisit her charges, with new evidence surfacing, including Irina's false identity. The case cracked open again. But then came the next bombshell. Ethan's second phone, found inside a hollowed-out panel in his office wall during a remodeling inspection. No password. Hundreds of messages and photos of Irina, of other women, of cash transfers, and encrypted contracts written in Serbian. Ethan wasn't just a victim of seduction. He was working with her. According to metadata, Ethan had been part of a trafficking for blackmail scheme. Recruit women, embed them in affluent households, manufacture chaos, use scandal as leverage. But something went wrong. Ethan and Irina had argued 2 nights before his death. Loud, violent. Neighbors heard it. One even recorded audio through a shared fence. In the recording, Ethan said, "You don't threaten me. You don't own me. This ends now." Irina responded, "You don't get to walk away. Not without consequences." 2 days later, he was dead. And Heather? She was asleep upstairs. The police timeline shifted. If Irina had entered the house after staging a false alibi, she could have slipped in, staged the scene, and planted the weapon in the garden, timing it before her disappearance. Irina's trail led to Miami. A burner phone pinged near the airport. She boarded a private charter to Belize under a fake name. 2 weeks later, authorities found the plane, burned and abandoned in a clearing. No bodies, no wreckage, just ash, and a single item left behind. A silver locket containing a photo of Heather with a red X across her face. Whether she was dead or simply gone, the message was clear. Irina wanted Heather broken, ruined, erased, and she nearly succeeded. With the new evidence, prosecutors dropped the charges against Heather. But the damage was done. She'd lost custody. Her name was smeared. Her home sold to cover legal fees. Her blog shut down by online harassment. She moved into her sister's basement, rebuilding, slowly, quietly. But Heather wasn't broken. Not fully. She began writing again, this time not about wellness, but about survival, manipulation, emotional warfare, and justice. The strongest people aren't those who never break. They're the ones who rise anyway. 3 months later, Detective Crane got an anonymous email. Subject line, "She's not done." Attached was a video file, grainy, filmed from a distance. A woman on a beach in Cartagena, Colombia. It was Irina, alive, smiling, talking to a man in a white linen suit. The man? Paul Donahue, Heather's lawyer. He was part of it too. Court filings, legal missteps, evidence, delays, all orchestrated to confuse, stall, and pressure Heather into taking a plea deal. She hadn't just been betrayed by her husband. She'd been betrayed by the very people meant to protect her. Paul Donahue disappeared 2 days after the video surfaced. Interpol got involved. A task force formed. But Heather made a choice. She refused to run. She reclaimed custody of her children, changed her name, moved to a small town in Oregon, started a podcast titled The Nanny in the Hall. In her first episode, she spoke directly to Irina, or whatever name she was using now. Heather recorded, "You try to destroy me. You almost did. But the thing about women like me, we don't stay down. We become something else. Stronger, smarter, sharper. And if you're still watching, I want you to know something. I forgive you, but I'll never forget." This story isn't just about murder. It's about control, gaslighting, trust. It's about how easily a life can be manipulated from the inside. And the lesson is this: be careful who you let into your life. Not everyone who smiles at your child is your friend. Not every helper has honest hands. And sometimes the greatest danger wears the face of someone you once trusted with your heart. Heather McAllister survived, but not everyone does. If you or someone you know is in a toxic or dangerous relationship, physically, emotionally, or psychologically, reach out, document everything, and trust your gut. If this story moved you, if it made you angry or afraid or think twice, then help us share it. Like this video. Leave a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful, true crime stories that peel back the surface and reveal what really lies beneath. Because sometimes the scariest crimes are the ones hiding in plain sight.